Have you ever felt it? That sudden cold drop in your stomach when you realize the person holding your hand is the same one holding the knife. It doesn't start with a scream. It doesn't start with a slap. It starts with a whisper. A subtle, carefully crafted whisper designed to dismantle your reality, brick by brick. There are people walking this earth right now who do not feel guilt. They do not feel love. They do not feel regret. They feel only one thing, a hunger to control. And you are the meal. Welcome to the reality they don't want you to see. The first truth you need to understand is the most painful one. You were not chosen by accident. You were not a victim of bad luck. You were chosen because of your light. To an emotional manipulator, empathy is not a virtue. It is a weakness to be exploited. It is a gap in your armor. They scan the room not looking for a fight, but for a giver. They look for the person who listens, the person who forgives, the person who believes that deep down, everyone is good. That person is you. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah was the kind of person who would give you her last dollar if you needed it. She felt the world's pain as if it were her own. When she met Mark, he seemed perfect. He listened to her childhood stories. He held her when she cried about her father. He mirrored her soul. It felt like fate. It felt like she had finally been seen. But what Sarah didn't know was that Mark was assessing her. He wasn't listening to connect. He was listening to collect data. He was mapping her vulnerabilities. He identified her desperate need to be needed. He saw that her boundaries were soft, worn down by years of trying to please others. He didn't fall in love with her spirit. He fell in love with how easy it would be to break it. Why do they target the kind? Because the cruel are too hard to control. The manipulator needs someone who will doubt themselves before they doubt the abuser. They need someone who will look at a monster and see a misunderstood angel. Do you remember when you first felt that suspicion? That tiny voice in the back of your mind that said, "This is too good to be true." You ignored it, didn't you? You silenced that voice because you wanted to believe in the fairy tale. And they knew you would. They counted on it. You were hunted because you are beautiful on the inside. And that beauty, that capacity to feel, is the very thing they used to chain you up. But the hunt is only the beginning. The real nightmare starts when the mask begins to slip. Imagine a drug so potent that it makes you feel like you are floating, like you have finally found your home, like the emptiness you have carried your entire life has been filled. This is what they give you in the beginning. They call it love bombing, but it is not love. It is anesthesia. In the first few weeks, Mark texted Sarah 80 times a day. He told her they were twin flames. He planned their entire future in a single conversation. He put her on a pedestal so high that she couldn't see the ground beneath her. It felt intoxicating. It felt like being the main character in the most romantic movie ever made. But have you ever stopped to ask why? Why is it so fast? Why is it so intense? It is because the intensity is a trap. It is a cage built of glitter and gold. By overwhelming you with affection, they don't just make you fall in love with them, they make you dependent on them. They rewire your brain to associate their presence with euphoria. Sarah stopped seeing her friends. She stopped doing her hobbies. Every waking moment was dedicated to Mark. If she didn't hear from him for an hour, she felt withdrawal. She felt panic. This wasn't a relationship anymore. It was an addiction. And Mark was the dealer. They love bomb you to isolate you. They make you feel that no one else has ever understood you like this. No one else has ever loved you this hard. They become your whole world. And when they become your whole world, they become the only thing that can hurt you. Did you feel it? That rush? That feeling of being chosen? It felt like destiny, didn't it? But what if I told you it was just a script? What if those 1,000 texts were sent not from a heart full of love, but from a mind full of calculation? The higher they lift you up, the harder you will fall. And the fall is coming. Now, the ground begins to shake. You start to notice things. Small things at first. A lie, a mean comment, a disappearance. You bring it up. You ask for clarity. And then they look you in the eye and tell you that you are crazy. This is gaslighting. It is a systematic dismantling of your sanity. It is the act of making you doubt your own memory, your own perception, your own mind.
You're imagining things again, Mark said, his voice dripping with fake concern. Sarah, you know how stressed you've been. I was at the office. You need to trust me. Why are you always trying to start a fight? I love you, and you're accusing me of this? Sarah froze. Had she imagined it? Was she stressed? Maybe she was crazy. She began to apologize. She began to question her own gut. The gaslighting doesn't just deny the truth, it attacks your confidence in finding the truth. Think about the horror of that. To live in a world where your own eyes cannot be trusted. When you say, the sky is blue, and they say, no, it's green, and you are stupid for thinking it's blue. Eventually, you start to wonder if you are colorblind. They take your reality and replace it with theirs. They do this slowly. They move the furniture in your mind inch by inch. They invalidate your feelings until you feel like your emotions are a burden. You stop speaking up because you are terrified of being wrong. You stop trusting yourself because you are tired of being crazy. This is the goal. If you don't trust your mind, you have to trust theirs. If you don't know what is real, they become your only anchor. They become the source of truth. You become a prisoner in your own head, guarding the door for your jailer, thinking he is your savior. How many times did you say, I'm sorry, when you had nothing to be sorry for? How many times did you shrink yourself to fit into their version of reality? The pain of gaslighting is not just the lie. It is the solitude of being the only one who knows the truth, yet being told you are the liar. But the erosion of reality is just a stepping stone. Once they have broken your mind, they will begin to break your spirit. They will use the people you love against you. Nothing makes an emotional manipulator feel more powerful than watching you fight for their attention. They need to feel desired. They need to feel like a prize. To achieve this, they introduce a third player into the game. This is triangulation. Mark started mentioning his ex-girlfriend Jessica. Jessica never understood my art like you do, Sarah, he would say. It sounded like a compliment, didn't it? But then, the next day, he would say, Jessica was so wild. We had such a passion. Sometimes I missed that fire. Sarah felt a knife twist in her gut. She wasn't just competing with a memory. She was competing with a ghost. She tried to be wilder. She tried to be more understanding. She tried to be everything Jessica was and more. But it wasn't just an ex. It was the cashier at the store. It was Sarah's best friend. It was anyone with a pulse. Mark would flirt in front of Sarah, and when she got jealous, he would coldly accuse her of being insecure, controlling, and insane. I love you, he would say, but your jealousy is ugly. So Sarah swallowed her pain. She smiled while he broke her heart piece by piece. She stopped trusting her instincts because he told her that her instincts were a character flaw. Triangulation is designed to keep you in a constant state of anxiety. It keeps you on your toes. It makes you feel that you are replaceable. It makes you feel that you must constantly earn your place in their life. You are no longer a partner. You are an applicant for a job that is constantly being re-advertised. Do you know the feeling of standing next to someone you love, feeling a million miles away? Do you know the exhaustion of constantly checking your phone, constantly comparing yourself to phantom rivals? The manipulator feeds on your anxiety. Your insecurity is their fuel. They want you to feel lucky that they even chose you. You are sitting at a table, starving, watching them feed everyone else around you, telling you that you should be grateful for the crumbs they leave behind. But the isolation gets deeper. The jealousy eats you alive, and just when you think you can't take it anymore, they change the game completely. There is no sound more destructive than silence. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of punishment. The silent treatment is not a break from conflict. It is an act of violence. It is the psychological equivalent of locking a child in a dark closet. One Tuesday night, Sarah asked Mark why he was late. Mark didn't answer. He just walked into the bedroom and locked the door. For 3 days, he did not speak a single word to her. He ate his meals in silence. He looked through her as if she were a ghost. Sarah panicked. She spiraled. What had she done? Was she that horrible? Did she deserve to be erased? She wrote him letters. She begged him to talk. She apologized for things she didn't even understand. The silence was loud. It screamed, "You do not exist." This is the goal, to strip you of your dignity, to make you crawl, to make you beg for the basic human right of acknowledgement. The manipulator knows that silence creates a vacuum in your chest, and they know you will do anything to fill that vacuum. They train you like a dog. They withdraw love to see if you will come running, and you always do. You come running with apologies and concessions. You give away your power just to hear the sound of their voice again. The pain of the silent treatment is that it denies your reality. It is a message saying you are not worth the effort of words. It makes you feel small. It makes you feel invisible. And in that invisibility, you lose yourself. Have you ever begged someone to acknowledge you? Have you ever pleaded to be seen? It is a humbling, shattering experience. It breaks your spine. It makes you promise to be good so they will turn the lights back on. And when they finally do speak, when they finally say, "I'm ready to talk now," you feel such relief. You feel gratitude. You forget that you were just tortured. You are just happy to be let out of the cage. But the cage never really goes away. We have arrived at the most twisted part of the game. The moment you confront them, the moment you gather your courage and say, "You are hurting me." Watch closely. Watch the magic trick. Because in a split second, the abuser becomes the abused. Mark started to cry, big, heavy tears. "After everything I've done for you," he whispered, "I sacrificed everything for us. I'm working myself to death to make you happy. And this is the thanks I get? You think I'm the monster? You're the one attacking me." Sarah stopped. Her breath caught in her throat. Was she the abuser? Was she the ungrateful one? Mark began to list his grievances. He talked about how hard his childhood was. He talked about how stressed he was at work. He made Sarah feel like her pain was an attack on his well-being. This is the ultimate weapon. They use their own trauma as a shield. They weaponize their own pain to invalidate yours. They say, "I can't help hurting you because I am hurt." They say, "My anger isn't my fault, it's my past." Suddenly, the conversation is no longer about your pain. It is about theirs. You are now the therapist. You are now the caretaker. You are consoling the person who just broke your heart. You are apologizing for being upset that you were mistreated. It is a mind-bending inversion. The victim becomes the perpetrator. The perpetrator becomes the martyr. You find yourself comforting the very person who holds the knife, whispering, "It's okay, I know you didn't mean it," while you bleed out on the floor. Why do we fall for it? Because we are empathetic. Because we cannot imagine that someone could be so calculated, so cruel, that they would fake tears to control us. We want to believe their pain is real, because if it is real, then their love might be real too. But it isn't real. It is a performance. It is a tactical maneuver designed to regain the upper hand. They cry to make you stop asking questions. They crumble to make you stop holding them accountable. And it works. It works every time. You are nurturing your own destruction. You are watering the weeds that are choking you. And the worst part? You think you are being kind. You think you are being loving. But there is no love here, only hunger. And then it ends. Not with a bang, but with a whisper. Or perhaps it ends with you finally being pushed so far that you leave. Either way, the result is the same, the discard. When Sarah finally left, she expected Mark to fight for her. She expected him to realize what he lost. She waited for the texts. She waited for the begging. But her phone stayed silent. The days passed. The weeks passed. Nothing. It was as if she never existed. As if the years they spent together, the promises, the fights, the love, it was all just a dream. Mark was already scrolling for the next target. He was already telling the new girl the same stories he told Sarah. This is the most painful realization of all. You were not special. You were not unique. You were a supply of energy, a resource to be consumed. And when the resource was drained, when you became too difficult, too crazy, too needy, they threw you away. The discard shatters your self-worth. You lie awake at night asking, was it all a lie? Did any of it matter? You replay the memories, trying to find the moment it became fake. You realize that the person you loved never actually existed. The mask was the person. The human underneath was a void. You feel empty. You feel used. You feel dirty. You gave them your soul, and they treated it like a disposable wrapper. They are already moving on, happy and laughing, while you are left picking up the pieces of a shattered life. How can someone be so heartless? How can they just switch off their feelings? The answer is the darkest truth of all. They didn't switch off their feelings because they never turned them on. You are grieving a ghost. You are mourning a relationship that only existed in your imagination. The silence of the discard is louder than all the screaming matches combined. It screams the truth. You never mattered to them. But here is the truth they never wanted you to know. The discard is not the end. It is the beginning. Sarah sat in her empty apartment for months. She felt the phantom pain of the manipulation. She felt the urge to call him. She felt the shame. But slowly, the fog began to lift. She started to remember who she was before Mark. She started to remember the girl who gave away her last dollar. The girl who felt deeply. She realized that her empathy was not a weakness. It was her superpower. The manipulator tried to use it against her, but it was actually the source of her strength. She survived because she could feel. She healed because she could love. The pain you feel right now is not a sign of weakness. It is the sound of your boundaries growing back. It is the sound of your intuition waking up from a long coma. The trauma is not a scar, it is a map. It shows you exactly where you allowed yourself to be violated, and it shows you how to never let it happen again. You are not damaged goods. You are a warrior who has walked through hell and came out with your soul still intact. The manipulator? They are trapped. They are doomed to repeat their cycle forever, hungry, empty, always searching for the next victim, never knowing why they can never feel full. They can mimic love, but they cannot experience it. They can mimic life, but they are not truly alive. They are the walking dead. And you? You are the one who can feel the sun on your face. You are the one who can cry real tears. You are the one who can heal. Forgive yourself for falling for the mask. You fell for it because you have a good heart. You fell for it because you believe in the good in people. Do not let them take that from you. The world needs your light. The world needs your kindness. Just save it for those who can feel it too. You are no longer a victim of their game. You are the survivor of their war, and the war is over. There are monsters among us, but they only win if we stop believing in our own reality. They only win if we let them turn us into stone. Trust your gut, even when it sounds crazy, especially when it sounds crazy. If it feels wrong, it is wrong. You are not crazy. You were just played by a master of the game. Take your pain, hold it close, and then let it go. Burn the bridge. Watch the smoke rise, and walk away. You are free now. Don't let the darkness back in.